Me, Gerald. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome back to Cooking with Gerald. Today we're making sweet potato pie. Start off with 3 pounds. This recipe that I have calls for 3 pounds of sweet potatoes. I don't like to boil my sweet potatoes because I find that they become very stringy and, for the most part, somewhat flavorless. So I like to either bake or roast my sweet potatoes. Today I'm going to roast them. What I normally do is wash them, and then you want to poke holes in them so that they don't burst in the oven. You can use a fork or a knife like I'm using. You don't have to go that deep. You're just pretty much puncturing the potato. All right. And then also, what I like to do to my potatoes before I put them in the oven is cover them in oil, like rub oil on them. What this does is it actually makes the skin come off a lot easier once they come out of the oven. I don't wait for my sweet potatoes to cool when I'm making my filling. I actually make the filling with the potatoes straight out of the oven. To me, it blends better and makes a more smoother pie. So that's what I like to do. So what I'm basically doing is just rubbing them down, just like this. Not a big, thick, heavy coat, just enough to coat them. And then I preheat my oven to 400 and roast these for approximately an hour. You can check around 45 minutes. For these, they may go 45-50 minutes because they're not as large. Usually when I do find the sweet potatoes, especially around this time of the year, they are fairly large. However, with these, I was able to find these all consistently the same size. So we'll go ahead and roast the potatoes and we'll be back. All right, guys, so it's been about 50 minutes that I've actually roasted the potatoes in a convection oven. Probably like about an hour if you have a regular oven. The potatoes are done. I'm able to stick a knife in them and they go in real easy. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna peel the potatoes, put them in my mixing bowl. I'm using a wire whisk attachment. You're gonna need about a half teaspoon of lemon extract, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, half cup sugar, 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 stick of unsalted butter, 1 cup of evaporated milk, 3 eggs, 1.5 teaspoons of nutmeg. I like to use ground nutmeg, where I actually grind mines myself with the microplane. This actually is a lot fresher and tastes a lot more pungent than nutmeg that's already been ground. And then also 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon and 2 unbaked 9-inch pastry shells. All right, so I'll go ahead and peel the potatoes. All right, so we're back. This is actually a fairly quick recipe. Doesn't take much time. Like I said, I like to roast my potatoes, sweet potatoes, with the skin on them versus boiling them. When you roast them, you get the natural sweetness of the sweet potato. Their natural sugars come out. What I did is I actually peeled them, put them in a bowl, mixing bowl, with a wire whisk, and I make mine up while they're hot. Adding the butter in, the stick of butter. What this will do when I'm mixing this up, it'll actually melt the butter. So we'll let that combine. Using a wire whisk, if there are some strings, once the batter is all mixed up, you'll be able to get the strings out because these strings will appear on the actual whisk itself. So I'm going to go ahead and whip this up. Get it nice and fluffy and the butter melted. I find that when I do the mixture with room temperature or cold potatoes, then everything just doesn't mix and gel well together. Or I guess if you could melt the butter instead of using a regular stick of cold butter like I just did, you can actually melt the butter and pour it in to the potatoes if you're mixing them cold. Okay, so now that we've gotten that mixed up, the butter in there, I'm going to add the white sugar and the brown sugar. Let those mix. So what I'm going to do is stir this around a little bit. Make sure it's catching everything at the bottom. All right. So the next thing I'm going to add is the evaporated milk. What I do with the eggs, I always add the eggs last because I always like to check the batter for flavor to make sure that that I have the right flavoring in it before I actually will add the eggs. With this recipe though, it's pretty much spot on, so you really don't have to do that, but I like to check it anyway, just to make sure. Alright, so now I'm going to add the vanilla flavoring, and then the half teaspoon of lemon flavoring. I like adding the lemon flavoring, because it gives it like a little brightness that kind of wakes up the potato. It just does something to the pie. It just kind of wakes it up a little bit more. Go ahead and add that in. Next thing I'm going to do is add in the nutmeg. As you can see, I've actually grated the nutmeg. That's a teaspoon and a half. And then 3/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. Some people prefer a lot of cinnamon in their sweet potato pies. I don't. I grew up with more of a nutmeg, with more nutmeg in the pie. I guess if people are used to eating pumpkin pie, which has a lot of cinnamon in it, I don't particularly care for a lot of cinnamon in my pie, so I don't put it in there. Make sure I get all this off the sides and get it incorporated. I'll go ahead and let this beat up for a good 2 to 3 minutes on high just to get it smooth. We'll be right back. So I'm back. I did let the mixer beat for about 3 to 4 minutes just to make it more creamy and not to get all the lumps, which there really wasn't any lumps in there. Then I also did check for strings. There really was none in there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and add the 3 eggs that are beaten, 3 beaten eggs, and we'll be finished. Before I did add the eggs, I did check the batter for taste, and it was actually really good. Very, very good. The batter is done. As you can see, it's nice and smooth. No lumps or anything in this. And it actually bakes very, very well. So I'm not actually going to bake any at this time, but I will show you a finished baked one at the end of the video. But this batter for the 3 pounds of potatoes will make 2 deep dish pies or 4 regular dish pies. So 2 deep dish or 4 regular pies. If you don't want to use it, it does freeze very well. You can take them and divide the batter up in half and put them in a Ziploc bag, freezer Ziploc bag, the large ones. And what you want to do when you put it in there, seal it and then flatten it out. Once you flatten it out and get it even, I will put it on a sheet pan and put it in the freezer to freeze. Once it freezes, you can take it off the sheet pan and put it in your freezer. And it'll stay good like that for about 2 to 3 months. You whip it out, leave it in the refrigerator overnight, it'll unthaw. Just shake it up in the bag to make sure that it hasn't separated, which it shouldn't. And then just cut the tip off the bottom and pour it into the pie shell. But I hope you enjoy this sweet potato pie recipe as much as I do. I use this to make sweet potato pie, sweet potato cheesecake. So it's a great recipe. If you do like the video, please, if you did like this video, please like it, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe to the channel if you like. If you do have any recipes that you like to have me make, please leave it in the comments and I'll be more than happy to make those recipes. Also, if you want notifications of when I post videos, you want to click the little bell. Every time a video that I actually post will come up, you'll get a notification. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. See you.